Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Among.stouts. If you're new here, my name is Samantha and I am a new homeschooling stay-at-home mom of 4 kiddos. And in today's video, I just wanted to get on here and make a video answering the question, how do you use Gather Round in your homeschool? So if you guys haven't been following me around for a while, or if you are new to my channel, we do use unit study curriculum from Gather Round Homeschool. And it's not the only curriculum that we use, nor is it the spine or the main, our main curriculum, if that makes any sense. So if you guys enjoy these kinds of videos where I talk about how we use different things in our homeschool, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you aren't already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get this question answered. So number one, Gather Round, like I already mentioned, is not our main curriculum, nor is it the spine. We use it as a supplement and honestly just as what it is, a unit study. If there's something that we are interested in, whether it be oceans or a continent like Africa, or we're doing ancient civilizations right now, if there's something that we're interested in and it's Gather Round has it available and it's something that we want to study as a unit, that's what we do. We add it into our homeschool simply as a unit study. If you use Gather Round at all, you do have to add in math. It doesn't have any math added. So we have our math curriculum. We have a language arts curriculum. My kids do Evan Moore geography, and my older 2 kids also have their Mazda's literature program that they're doing. And then my youngest has all about reading that she's doing. So if we were to do Gather Round as our spine, our main focus, that would be way too much to add into with an already fully loaded homeschool schedule. And so I actually started off doing that at the beginning of the year, and I got completely overwhelmed. So we wanted to continue to do the units that we had already purchased and printed out, but we just wanted to make them work for us. And we also wanted to still use Gather Round for some of those units that we were really interested in. Like we have coming up the botany unit, and we also have coming up the creepy crawly unit, which I'll talk more about those two as a part of our summer homeschool that we're going to be doing in another video. But how we make it work is, it is what I do in the morning as morning time. I know a lot of people do a lot of different things in their morning time, morning basket, but that's where I have found for us the ability to fit in Gather Round Homeschool. So we're usually starting our day off with Bible study and devotional. Prayer time and worship is what we start every morning off with. Is doing something along those lines. We aren't doing the Bible study and all of that every single day, but whatever we're doing for that is what we do first thing in the morning when we start school. Then we go into handwriting or spelling, depending on what day it is, and then we go into Gather Round. And when we're doing Gather Round, I'm not doing it. I'm not typically doing it a lesson per day so that we're done in a month. I stretch out these lessons because it is a supplement to our homeschool. It would be way too much if we were doing like the typical schedule of 1 lesson per day. So it usually takes us 2 days per 1 lesson. So on the first day, I read the unit lesson, and then they do half of the work, and then on day 2 they will do the rest of the work. And that kind of just depends on what work is included in that lesson. If there's too much work, I read on the first day and they do the note picking page, and then on the second day they'll do the work of whatever pages they're going to do. So I will also tell you that because we do our own language arts, I don't have my kids do the language arts portions of Gather Round Homeschool, so that takes out a chunk of the work that they're doing. And we also don't complete the unit project or unit paper that's included in each unit study. So that also takes out a chunk of work. So really what they're getting out of it, and what I've noticed that we've typically been using it for, are the science portions, the social studies portions, and the geography. And so I have found that by making it just those things, it fits really well in our homeschool, because outside of CC, we didn't do anything else for science this year other than the science pages in our Gather Round Homeschool units. And then as far as history goes, Gather Round was our history this year. We did their history mini units that because they paired really well with CC, and also just doing the history of the continents. It has worked really well for us as basically a science, history, geography curriculum, and that's how we have made it work for us. I will also say that I do go through and pre-read all of the lessons before I read it out to my kids. Now, like, not fully in depth, but I skim over it, and then I will just go through and highlight what I actually want to read to them and what might be over their heads that I don't want to get into. I'll leave it out. A lot of the fluff I leave out as well. I don't like reading fluff. So when I'm going into those, and that's kind of, I will say that's one of the downfalls to some of the units, for me, is when I'm reading it, I kind of, like, I don't want all of the extra, like, fluff added to it. I kind of just want to read the facts of what we're reading about, and because that is what the lesson's about. So like a lot of the story time so a lot of the stuff that's being talked about, like, oh, would you blah, 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 blah. I don't read any of that stuff, and my kids prefer that I don't read any of it either, because when I was reading it, they never answered the questions, and it just wasn't authentic. So I ask my own questions along the way, and I leave out the scripted conversational pieces in the gather round reading part of it. So I basically just go through, I look at the topic of what we're doing, I go through and I skim and I highlight what I want to read. And ever since I started doing that, I've noticed how much I cut out of my reading time, because that was also another part of it that was a drawback for me, is how much reading you have to do with gather round. It is so much. And when you're already doing read alouds and family devotions or Bible studies, and then if you have a younger kiddo who you're teaching reading to, like I have a 6-year-old, I'm doing a lot of her reading, the reading just gets to be too much and overwhelming. And so ever since I started cutting back, or like going through and highlighting what I want to read and only reading that, it's been a lot easier on me, and I've been enjoying it a whole lot more. The other thing that I will add is our favorite units are the mini units. So the government, the history, and all of those that we've done, those are our favorite, and it's because they're smaller. I feel like those are a lot easier to implement into our morning time versus the full units, simply because they are smaller and they're easier to add in like a supplement, because that's essentially what they are. Is the mini units are supplements to the main units. Like, you can technically do them at the same time because the minis are smaller. So I prefer to add in mini units into our morning routine over the big units, and I kind of turn the big units into mini units, and that's honestly how we make gather round work for us in our homeschool. With it not being our main curriculum, it's just finding the time for me to go in there and highlight what I'm going to read. So I cut down the reading, and 2, I cut down the workload that my kids are doing, because it really, like, having some reinforcement and some extra practice on some language arts concepts is nice, but I feel like my kids already get a lot of that extra stuff because we do CC, which we're done with this year's CC currently, but we do CC, and that's all like foundational pieces of language arts, a lot of the memory work that they do. So we do CC. They have their currently this year they're all doing language lessons for living education from master books. My daughter, who is 6, she finished her language lessons a while ago, so she's doing the Good and Beautiful level K. She's almost done with that one. So we have our language arts pieces that we like, and it doesn't make sense to add on to that workload. So we leave that out. We don't do any of the writing that's in Gather Round. We leave that out because they already have writing that they're doing in their language lessons books. And then as far as my older kids, they're also doing writing in their literature books. So we don't add in any of that. So cutting out language arts, cutting out any writing prompts, and cutting out the unit projects. Sometimes they have unit projects that they're doing, or sometimes it's like a research paper or some type of writing paper that they're doing throughout Gather Round. We just don't do any of that. And I know that for some people it doesn't really make sense. Like, why do these units if you're not like doing it the way that it's laid out. But that's also the beauty of homeschooling, is you can be so interested in a topic and really love the way that it's laid out for you, but still make it your own. You don't have to use every curriculum in the way that the curriculum publishers or the creators kind of intend for you to use it. You can make anything fit for you and your kids and your homeschool. So if you have to tweak something, that doesn't mean that the curriculum doesn't work. That means that you have a really good curriculum that you're just making fit for your homeschool. And I think that's perfectly okay. I know that also the price point can be a deterrent for some people, like because it is priced a little bit higher. If you're paying $50 a month for a new unit every month, that can make it get a little high. But if you stretch them out, you make it your own, and you can add other things to it. So we add on lots of books. We personally do not go on any rabbit trails ever. I'm just not that kind of a teacher. I don't rabbit trail off to a lot of things, and honestly my kids aren't rabbit trailers either. If they have questions, we'll find the answers, but then we just get right back to where we're going. So we're not going on to like day-long or hour-long rabbit trails from Gather Round either. So that's the other thing, that why we're able to fit it in where it's at and continue on with our day, is because we just don't do those rabbit trails. And it's totally fine if you do. If you are a rabbit trailer, you're only adding more into like you're only getting into more depth and making it more fun, and just getting more out of it for yourself. But back to the price point, if you rabbit trail and you add on a whole lot of things, you can stretch out the unit to be more than just the 1 month, and so then you're not buying a new unit every single month. Or you can do it like we do, and you can intentionally space it out, so then it turns out to like $50 every couple of months versus $50 every month. And the other thing that I do to save money is I haven't used every single Gather Round unit, and I don't think that I ever will, simply because there are some that don't excite me or my kids, and that's totally okay. The ones that we are interested in are the ones that we use. So for year 2, I actually purchased the full year up front, because out of year 1 and 2, and even after seeing what's available in year 3, year 2 just had more of what we wanted to do, and I just wanted to be able to get them automatically. So that's an option, because whenever you buy the year up front during a sale, you're saving money that way. So if you can afford it, you can purchase the whole year digitally and then get them as they come out over the year. So that's what I did for year 2. And while we didn't use every single one of them, and we're not going to, I think there's only 3 that we won't get to, but every other one we would have used for year 2. Now going into year 3, I'm still on the fence. There's a couple of units that I'm interested in. Actually there's 3: the dinosaur unit, the chemistry unit, and the psychology unit. Oh, and also their like maturity unit. I'm interested in that as well. So that's 4 units. So I'm not going to purchase year 3 up front, because between my kids and I, there's not enough units coming in year 3 that we're really interested in. But I may just purchase those 4 and spread them out over time, because I think that's just how it's going to end up working out for us. But all of that to say, guys, that's just how I have found a way to make it work for us. It is what is in our morning basket or morning time, and that's all we do. We do our Bible study or devotional, handwriting or spelling. We alternate days, and then we do our gather round. So that's how we make it fit. I don't know what other people's like. I know a lot of people do use a lot of other things in their morning baskets or morning time routines or whatever. So if you're one of those people where you're adding a whole bunch of different things into your morning time already, and you're not going to use gather around as like your spine, so the rest of your day you're already filled up, I don't really know how you could fit it in. But because a lot of the aspects of what people typically add into their morning time. So the science, the history, the geography, since that's usually what people are adding into their morning baskets, that's what I get out of Gather Round, and that's what I use it for. So that's where it is fit into my homeschool. I know that one of you amazing mamas had this question for me, and I don't know that, I feel like I had talked about it a little bit before, how we make it work, but I wanted to just do a video fully dedicated to answering this question because it was a really good question, and I always know that if one person has this question, then there's other people who have it, they're just not asking it. So I really hope that this video is helpful to you guys. If you have any other questions about the tweaks that I make or what we add into it, really it's just the unit lesson that Gather Round gives us, and readers that my kids are reading. That's all we add to it. Like I said, we don't go on almost any rabbit trails ever or do anything super extra added into it. I hope this was helpful to you guys, and if you have any other questions, don't ever hesitate to ask. I'm more than willing to answer questions. I actually love getting questions and interacting with you guys. So that's all I have for you in this video. If you guys enjoyed learning about how we use Gather on our homeschool, please go ahead and give me a like. And if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit subscribe. I'd love to have you here as a part of my community, and I will see you guys in the next video.